Hi again, everyone. Gary Digital Williams here on Boxing Along the Beltway with our news and notes for this week. And this week, of course, we have a big weekend of boxing, both in the Beltway area and just outside the area. So we're going to preview both those cards coming up as we record this in the next couple of days, actually, including tomorrow night as we record this, May 12th at Michael's 8th Avenue. We'll talk about that in a moment. We'll also celebrate the victory and historic victory of that for a young man who became our first National Golden Gloves champion in 3 years, but not only that, made a little history along the way as well. And we will update the schedule, and we'll also take a look back at what took place during the Chavez-Canelo bout for one of our boxers on the undercard of that bout. So we'll talk about that throughout this podcast. We'll also update the May schedule. Boxing on Beltway News and Notes. Beltway Boxing News and Notes brought to you by Real-Time Pain Relief, from boxers to ballerinas, for shoulder pain, the muscle strain, and everything in between. Boxing Along the Beltway recommends Real-Time Pain Relief, the natural, plant-based, safe, fast, and effective ointment. And of course, you go on to www.freepainoffer.com. Buy $10 worth of Real-Time Pain Relief, you get a free $10 tube of Real-Time Pain Relief. Rub it on, the pain is gone in real time. Of course, we'll be live from Michael's 8th Avenue in Glen Burnie, Maryland on Friday, May 12th for the Baltimore Pro Boxing card. And this card has kind of gone under a lot of changes. And it wasn't the card that we first started talking about, but I think it's still a very good card, and there should be some good matchups and interesting matchups on this card. Now, this card was scheduled to have as its main event the bout for the NABA Cruiserweight Championship between champion Nick Kisner out of Baltimore, Maryland, and Alex Guerrero out of Salisbury, Maryland. However, Kisner got hurt in training, so he's not able to defend his title on this card. So that bout has been scratched. But the replacement main event, this one should be an interesting one as well. It'll be in the super welterweight division, as Baltimore, Maryland's dangerous Donald Wallace will take on DC's Gregory Glizzy Clark. And that bout is scheduled for 6 rounds. Wallace is 2-0, 1 KO. He last fought on January 13th up at Michael's and won a 6-round unanimous decision over Tahir Thomas. Good bout. You heard that bout right here on the Boxing on Beltway Google app for Android. And of course, you can hear the bout because it's archived, as a lot of our bouts are archived here on the blog. So make sure you subscribe also to the pages on Spreaker.com and iHeartRadio.com. Clark is 2-1, 1 KO. He won by 4th round TKO in his last bout at the Sands Bethlehem Casino, an event center in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. He won a 4th round TKO over Devin McMaster. That was on April 4th. So both these guys have been healthy, and it's interesting that they're fighting so soon in a 6-round bout. Of course, Wallace has already gone 6 rounds, and Clark, I think, can do the same thing. So that should be an interesting bout. That's the main event. Dangerous Donald Wallace out of Baltimore, Gregory Glizzy Clark out of D.C. By the way, Wallace has started a blog of his own that's chronicling his journey. I will at some point post a link that you can read his exploits. He just started that this week. So it's interesting to see how someone who's just starting in this business, and he had a good amateur career and all, and we'll see his progress through his blog. So he will. We'll talk more about that a little bit later on. We'll post that again on boxonbeltway.blogspot.com. That's the only 6-rounder on the card. The 4-rounders include Devontae Speed Rawls, and this is an interesting bout also. Devontae Speed Rawls out of Glenarden. He's a super lightweight. He's undefeated, 8-0-1, 6 KOs. Will take on Evgeny Mechanov out of Gaithersburg, Maryland, who is 0-1. Now, Speed Rawls stopped Rynell Griffin in the 3rd round of his bout back on March 25th at the University of the District of Columbia in Washington, D.C. Mechanov fought on the last card at Michael's 8th Avenue. That was on March 30th. He's a native of Sofia, Bulgaria, who now fights out of Gaithersburg, Maryland. He dropped a 4-round unanimous split decision, a tough bout against Jamal Dyer out of Baltimore. So Mechanov 0-1 going into this, and he's fighting Speed Rawls, who is 8-0-1, and has a little bit more experience. So this should be an interesting bout as well, and about scheduled for 4 rounds. Also, West Virginia lightweight Matthew Boogeyman Bowling. He is trained by Scott Farmer, and he will battle Dwayne Martin out of Laurel, Maryland. That'll be in a 4-round contest. Bowling is 4-0, all 4 wins by knockout, all 4 wins by knockout in the first round. That includes his last outing on February the 4th. He stopped Richardo de Jesus in Martinsville, West Virginia. He also fought at the ABC Sports Complex on a left hook boxing card and scored a 5th-round knockout there. Dwayne Martin returns to the ring for the first time since January of 2010. That's when he won a 4-round majority decision over Daryl Martin. That bout took place at Michaels back then, but that's since almost actually more than 7 years now. So we'll see what happens there as Matthew Bowling takes on Dwayne Martin. In the welterweight bout, Virginia's Craig Cowan, and don't know exactly where in Virginia he is from. He'll take on Howard Thompson out of Shelby, North Carolina. Cowan is 2-1, both his wins by knockout. He comes off first-round TKO over Brian Otay. That was on October 22nd in Winchester, Virginia. Meanwhile, Thompson lost his pro debut on April 29th. He dropped a 4-round unanimous decision to Pedro Martinez Jr. in Charlotte, North Carolina. Also on the card, Baltimore cruiserweight Desmond Towns will make his pro debut. He'll take on a veteran in Martez Williamson, who is 3-18. That bout also scheduled for 4 rounds. Martez Williamson has been in the area. He lost about a year or so ago in this area. Actually, he lost at I believe it was the ABC Sports Complex. So that is the card there. The card is scheduled to get underway at 8:15 p.m. So we'll be on the air about 8 o'clock. Juan Marshall and I will have the call live from Michael's 8th Avenue in Glen Burnie, Maryland, for the Baltimore Pro Boxing card. There, if you can't be there, hope you can be there. If not, please join us live right here on the Box on Beltway Google app for Android. Once again, you subscribe to Spreaker.com, iHeartRadio.com. Tell your friends to download the free Android app here. Then boxing returns to Norfolk, Virginia on Saturday, May 13th at the Masonic Temple in Norfolk. This is a Ponytail Promotions Shabazz Brothers card, and there'll be a number of Beltway boxers on this card. There'll be an all Beltway 4-round lightweight matchup. It could be pretty interesting as well. Leesburg, Virginia's Matthew Abregu will take on DC's Lamont White. Abregu is 4-0, 3 KOs. He went the distance for the first time in his pro career back on December 10th when he won a 4-round majority decision over Benjamin Olinga. That was at the ABC Sports Complex in Springfield, Virginia. Lamont White fought on the March 30th card at Michael's 8th Avenue, and he lost a 4-round unanimous decision to Ernest Hall on March the 30th. White is 0-7, but he has never been knocked out in a fight. He's always gone the distance. He also has 1 no contest on his record as well. In a 6-round bout, it'll be Eric the Immortal Govan out of Germantown, Maryland. He'll take on Brandon Pennington of Virginia Beach, Virginia. Govan is 5-2 with 3 KOs. He'll look to bounce back from a 4-round unanimous decision loss to Devin Butcher. That was on November 12th at the Burns Arena in Baltimore, Maryland. Brandon Pennington won his pro debut on December 10th at the ABC Sports Complex, and he captured a 4-round majority decision over Carlos Cruz. Good performance there. Pennington's 1-0, Govan 5-2, 3 KO. That bout scheduled for 6 rounds. Another 6-round matchup will be Newport News, Virginia's Jerry Slug Forrest. He'll take on Willis the Prophet Lockett, the veteran out of Tacoma Park, Maryland. Forrest is 14-2 with 12 KOs. And this is actually a rematch between the two men. And the last time they fought, Forrest won the bout by a 4-round unanimous decision on August 25th in Virginia Beach, Virginia. But Forrest has not fought since that bout. Lockett has been pretty busy. He fought to a 6-round draw in his last outing on December 17th against Ed Lattimore in New Cumberland, West Virginia. Lockett has a record of 14-19-6 with 5 KOs. He just tries to keep going. No question about that. So those are the bouts we know about on this card. Other locals scheduled to be on the card include the 2016 Beltway Boxing Rookie of the Year. That's Mac Pappy Allison IV out of Baltimore. He's 7-0, all 7 wins by knockout. Also, Seth Killer B. Billups of Ashburn, Virginia. He's 8-0 with 6 KOs. And the card is scheduled to be headlined by Dangerous Doran Spivey out of Portsmouth, Virginia. The veteran there is 47-7, 33 KOs, and his bout scheduled for 6 rounds. And again, they're all looking for opponents on that card. So that is Saturday, May 13th. Unfortunately, I can't be there for that one down at the Masonic Temple in Norfolk, Virginia. But those of you listening in the Tidewater area may want to go up there and check that bout out. And of course, Shabazz Brothers will have a card coming up on Saturday, June 17th at Du Burns Arena in Baltimore, Maryland, and that should be a great bout. We'll talk more about that card a little bit later on. Starting next week, we'll start taking a good look at the June schedule, and the June schedule looks very, very good. We can tell you this, however, one card that was scheduled for June was scheduled for June the 3rd at a place called the Campus in Ashburn, Virginia. That card has been postponed until the 1st of July 1st. It's a brand new location, and that would have been that'd been interesting because that would have been a conflict with a card that is going to take place, I believe, on June 3rd at Rosecroft Raceway in Fort Washington, Maryland. That's the card I probably end up going to. So they moved the card is a place called the Campus, kind of like a Virginia version of the Burns from what I saw on the website. A lot of amateur sports goes on in that particular location, but that card has been moved to July. So we'll take a little bit more of the June schedule a little bit later on. Now I want to congratulate a young man, 18 years old, and as I said in the open, he not only became the first national Golden Gloves champion out of the DC region since 2014, but he also made history along the way. We're talking about Keyshawn Davis, who is actually originally from Norfolk, Virginia, but moved up to Alexandria for a couple of reasons. Number one, he moved up because there were a lot of tough things going on in Norfolk, Virginia, but also he moved up to be around with some great competition and not in competition, but great training and sparring that he gets at the Alexandria Boxing Club with the likes of Troy Isley. And also Shakur Stevenson trains down there, as does Antoine Douglas. So he gets some great sparring. It paid off because Keyshawn Davis did indeed win the National Golden Glove Championship at 132 pounds this past Saturday, May the 6th, at the Cajun Dome in Lafayette, Louisiana. He defeated Adrian Benton of California by a 4-1 decision. And once again, it's the first national title by a DC region boxer since Gary Antoine Russell did it in 2014. Also, however, believe it or not, Keyshawn Davis is the first boxer from the state of Virginia representing the DC region to win a national Golden Gloves championship. And that in and of itself is amazing. And you look at the and I'm going to read real quickly. I'm going to take a moment to recap. I've never done this on the podcast, but the who's who of people who have won national Golden Glove championships coming out of the DC region it's an amazing list. Okay, let me go down this list real quickly and we'll come back. Well, let me come back to Keyshawn real quickly. Keyshawn Davis has some big plans. There's a great article. If you go on the website of the Alexandria Times newspaper, James Cullum wrote a nice article, not only on Keyshawn Davis, but also on Troy Isley, who again was my pick to really go through the Nationals and win it. And he got knocked out in the first round, which was a little bit surprising. But he and Davis are in the same camp, and there's an article on both of them because they have a lot of big plans coming up. They're looking at the USA Nationals in December, and also, of course, the big goal for both of them is the 2020 Olympics. But Troy Isley's already set up for a number of events coming up. The Continentals are coming up and some other events for Troy Isley. And Keyshawn now puts himself in the mix with this. So congratulations to him. This is an outstanding performance. The Beltway didn't do too bad. We had 2 bronze medals. Wilfredo Avalar and Cenk Plana finished third in their weight classes. But Keyshawn Davis, as I said, it's adding now to a who's who of Beltway boxing legends and current boxers who have won national Golden Gloves. They date the list back to 1973 and 1974. And that of course, means Sugar Ray Leonard, who won the National Golden Glove both those years. Lewis Heidi Curtis, 1976, a great flyweight. He was Mark Johnson before Mark Johnson in the pros. Didn't get as accomplished as Mark did, but he was a flyweight back in the 70s, early 80s, and early mid 80s. And 90s as well. 1978 was William Flip Johnson, who is now one of the better trainers in the Beltway area. 1979, a great boxer I used to love watching was Kenny the Technician Bazemore. And he was out of D.C., great boxer. May have come along at slightly the wrong time, but was a solid welterweight and junior welterweight at one time, 1979. 1982, the first boxer out of Baltimore to win it. That was Warren Chico Thompson. He was a heavyweight out of Baltimore. Did not do all that well in the pros, but was definitely one of the better amateur boxers out of this area. 1985 was Eugene Sonny Speed, and I've talked about him. Of course, his nephew is Devontae Speed Rawls, but Eugene Sonny Speed was an outstanding amateur and pro here in the area. Anthony Chill Wilson out of D.C. in 1986 won a National Golden Glove Championship. He lives in Dubai, I believe. He lives and travels all over the world. In 1988, it was the future three-time Hall of Famer and the three-time world champion and International Boxing Hall of Fame, Mark Too Sharp Johnson won his National Golden Gloves. 1991, it was Melvin Top Gun Foster, who came out to be a pretty good heavyweight in the pros. Top Gun out of Southeast D.C. 1992, James Harris. Now, James Harris is actually the brother of Mark Too Sharp Johnson, but Harris never turned pro. And so he won his National Golden Glove Champion in 1992. 1995, DeMarcus Chop Chop Corley won his National Golden Glove Championship. And, of course, 5 years later would be a world champion in 2000. Also in 1995, and he did it again in 1997, making him only the second boxer in D.C. region history to win the National Golden Gloves twice. He was a light heavyweight and a cruiserweight out of Baltimore by the name of Dangerous Dana Rucker. He won his National Golden Glove Championship in 1995 and in 1997. In 1998, Lamont Bay Pearson, who was a world title challenger at super featherweight for many years in the mid 90s, and actually close to 2000. He was I won't say midnight. It was actually in 2000s. He was a world title championship challenger. He challenged for the title a couple of times, fell a little short, but really an outstanding boxer, fun boxer to watch. One of my all-time favorite bouts, he fought at the Lincoln Theater in Washington, D.C. Fought, I believe it was Harold Warren. And outstanding bout at the Lincoln Theater that day. No question about that. Then in 2001, it was Lamont Peterson. He would win his National Golden Glove Championship. And 2 years later, Anthony Peterson would do the same. Then it was Russell time. 2005, Mr. Gary Russell Jr., the now WBC featherweight champion. Of course, Lamont Peterson now the regular WBA welterweight champion. 2005, Gary Russell Jr. would win his National Golden Glove Championship. Of course, 3 years later, he would qualify for the U.S. Olympic team. In 2010, Gary Allen Russell would win a National Golden Glove Champion. He never turned pro. He is one of the chief trainers for his brothers, and also winning a National Golden Glove that champion. This is where things started to really get going for us, and where things started to blossom in the area. This was the new renaissance coming here. David Day Grayton would also win a National Golden Glove Championship in 2010. 2011 was Mike Yes Indeed Reed winning his National Golden Glove title. In 2012, that was a big year for us because we won 3 national titles. Gervonta Davis, who's now the IBF Super Featherweight Champion. IBF Super Featherweight Champion. Of course, will defend his title next Saturday, May 20th in London, England. Demetrius Big Meats Ballard, who will have a bout coming up on May 18th. We'll talk more about that in just a moment on ESPN2. And the King's son, Jerry Odom, would all win National Golden Glove Championships in 2012. Jerry Odom would be named the outstanding boxer of the tournament that year. In 2013, it was Gary Antonio Russell who would win a National Golden Glove championship and would be named the outstanding boxer of the tournament that year. And Lamont Roach Jr. Was a winner in 2013. I don't know if I mentioned 2012, the DC region won the team trophy, the outstanding team trophy in 2012. 2013, Gary Antonio Russell and Lamont Roach Jr. Of course, 2014, Gary Antoine Russell on his way to the Olympics. And 2017, Keyshawn Davis. Now, let's break this down a little bit more here. Two International Boxing Hall of Famers, Sugar Ray Leonard and Mark Too Sharp Johnson. 6 boxers who won National Golden Gloves either have held or are holding world championships. We have Sugar Ray Leonard, of course, Mark Too Sharp Johnson, Chop Chop Corley, Lamont Peterson, Gary Russell Jr., and Gervonta Davis. Okay? 4 U.S. Olympians. Sugar Ray Leonard and Louis Heidi Curtis were both on the 1976 Olympic team. Gary Russell went to the Olympics in 2008. And, of course, Gary Antoine Russell went in 2016. Also, 3 brother combinations. As we said, Mark Johnson and James Harris, Lamont and Anthony Peterson, and the Russell family, the first family to have 4 boxers in the family win National Golden Glove championships. And, of course, as we said, 2 boxers named the outstanding boxer of the tournament. So now Keyshawn Davis is a part of that legacy by winning his National Golden Glove championship this past Saturday in Lafayette, Louisiana. So congratulations to Keyshawn Davis, and we look forward to great things down the road for him. Of course, next week we are very busy with some great bouts coming up and great moments for us, and it really starts on Thursday, May 18th. As you just mentioned, Demetrius Big Meech Ballard will be probably in the biggest bout of his career thus far. He'll battle undefeated boxer Ulysses Sierra of San Diego, California, bout that's scheduled for 10 rounds, and it'll be at the Casino del Sol in Tucson, Arizona. We talked about this a little bit last week. Bout will be televised. It's co-feature of a Golden Boy boxing card on ESPN2, and it's slated to be for the WBC USNBC Super Middleweight Championship. Bout is 16-0, 12 KOs, knocking out his last 5 opponents, including a 4th-round TKO over Zoltan Serra. That was on March 11th in Verona, New York. Sierra is the California State Super Middleweight Champion. He's undefeated, 10-0-2, 6 KOs. First-round knockout over Jose Hernandez on July 16th in Lancaster, California. That was the first boxer, as we said, Sierra has fought with an over 500 record. Bout has fought 6 straight guys with over 500 records in that stretch. So that card will be on Thursday, May 18th, Casino del Sol in Tucson, Arizona. And, of course, on Saturday, May 20th, 1 week from this Saturday, one of the biggest nights that we've had in Beltway boxing history in a long time. I know I've said that a lot, but that gives you an idea what caliber of boxer we have. But what Showtime is going to do on May 20th is show both the title bouts for Beltway boxers, Gervonta Davis and Gary Russell Jr. On that day, Gervonta Davis will be first from the Copper Box Arena in London, England, takes on Liam Walsh. And that'll be followed by Gary Russell Jr.'s title defense against Oscar Escandón. And that'll be live from the MGM National Harbor Casino in Oxon Hill, Maryland, on Saturday, May 20th. I believe the program will get underway at 6 p.m. Eastern Time. And, of course, there are 2 other bouts on the card. We're going to preview that entire card next week from MGM National Harbor in Oxon Hill, Maryland. And it's a huge day for us. And what I'm hearing, and I'm not sure how true this is, but I'm hearing that the tickets are not going all that quickly for Russell's bout at the MGM National Harbor. Now, today they had the media workout, and if you go to Juan Marshall's page, my partner Juan Marshall's page on Pro Am Fight Talk, go to his YouTube page, proamfighttalk.blogspot.com. You go to his YouTube page. He has a number of interviews from the media workout today, and I'm hoping the media outlet, the media buzz, will get some more people out there to see this guy. This is a guy who has represented our area so well, along with his brothers. And Antonio and Antoine will both be on the card. Antoine makes his pro debut on this show. And I'm really hoping that the fans will come out and support this one. This is a big one for us. And along with Gervonta defending his title in London, it's a big night for us on TV and in the building. So please make your plans. Come out and join us Saturday, May 20th for what should be a great night of boxing with Gary Russell Jr. fighting for the first time, believe it or not, in his hometown, which is unbelievable to me. I don't get that, but I've talked about that before, but I'm not going to talk about it now. But he defends his title in front of his home crowd, and it should be a great night. So that's Saturday, May 20th. Of course, we'll talk about that more next week on the Beltway Boxing News and those podcasts. And of course, Juan and I will talk about that tomorrow night from Michael's 8th Avenue in Glen Burnie, Maryland. And quick result from last week. Of course, last week, and I want to talk about this in general as far as the card itself. But let's first talk about the Beltway boxer was on the card, and that was Emmanuel Transformer Taylor out of Edgewood, Maryland. He was stopped in the 5th round by Lucas Matisse at the T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas, Nevada. Of course, that was on the pay-per-view portion of Canelo and Chavez Jr. And Taylor was really never in this bout. I mean, he was rocked late in the 1st round. Matisse caught him with a right hand. And just the onslaught just kept growing throughout the bout. Taylor really could not get into it. Matisse dropped him in the 3rd round. And that was after suffering a cut over his right eye. Matisse got butted by Taylor by accident. And he just never in the bout. So, and again, it's just a situation as the bout ended at 2:21 in the 5th round. You know, as talented a boxer as Emmanuel Taylor is, and again, he's in a tough division, welterweight, junior welterweight. I mean, just outstanding boxers in those divisions, and that's where he suffered when he's tried to get up to that upper echelon of those divisions. He has faltered, unfortunately, and that's just it. I mean, he's faced better competition, and Matisse, even though he was returning after a 19th month absence, he looked sharp. Give him credit. He looked sharp. Taylor had no defense for Matisse's offense and could not get any offense going of his own. So it's just tough. It's just a shame to see that situation because Taylor's a great boxer, but he's just not at the upper echelon, and that's where it is. Taylor's record now 20-5, 14 KOs. Matisse falls to 38-4, 35 KOs. Now, I'm going to do something I normally don't do, and that's talk about the boxing world at large, but I think it needs to be talked about in case one of our boxers ever gets into that situation. What Canelo Chavez Jr. was, folks, was a 36-minute infomercial. And again, it's not to say that the bout was rigged in any way, and I don't think it was. Let me make that perfectly clear. I don't think that bout was rigged. Was it set up? Yes, and there's a difference. The bout between Canelo Alvarez and Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. was set up to go one way. It was set up to lead toward an announcement that would feature Canelo announcing that he would, or Golden Boy Promotion in this case, announcing that Canelo would fight Gennady Golovkin. Okay? Now, here's the thing. This is why I don't say it was rigged. Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. had every opportunity to upset that apple cart. He could have forced De La Hoya to go to a plan B if he didn't have one already. Now, I don't know if he would have promoted a Chavez Jr. Golovkin bout, Triple G bout. I don't know. We'll never know now, of course. But I don't think Chavez was paid to be a punching bag Saturday night. he just ended up being a punching bag with feet. That's basically what it boiled down to. And that's to Canelo's credit. Canelo's an outstanding boxer. There's no question about that. And Chavez Jr. is not. I don't think there's any question about that either. And as I've said before, HBO deserves a lot of credit for talking many people, myself included, because I went over halvesies with my brother-in-law to watch this bout. Talking people into buying that pay-per-view. Because the build-up for it was fantastic. I mean, and not overly done. I don't think they overdid the build-up. I think it was just some great video, some great shows. The face-off was fantastic between the two. Excuse me. And the fighting tradition, I mean, it was great. It was just a great build-up to the fight. Something that Andre Ward's going to regret missing out on that. He apparently did not do the face-off with Sergey Kovalev. They were planning to do one. And apparently Ward, for whatever reason, didn't show up. And Andre Ward's going to regret that. Because I think it's going to hurt the pay-per-view numbers for that bout. This is my personal opinion, but I think it is. It's a necessary situation. And Chavez Jr. and Canelo proved that. It was the icing on the cake. I mean, it was such to the point where I showed my student, I teach a television production class at a high school in the area, and I showed my students, some of whom are of Hispanic heritage. I showed them both the Fighting Tradition show as well as the Face Off, and they were into it. And my exit ticket out of the class was, would you buy this pay-per-view based on what you just saw? And almost every person said yes, I would. And they're not the biggest boxing fans, but it was the power of both those shows that talked many people, myself included, into buying that pay-per-view. Do I regret buying the pay-per-view? No, I don't. Because nothing else, I wanted to see Manuel Taylor as well. So I had another reason why I wanted to see it. Having said that, it amounted to an extended infomercial for Canelo and Golovkin. We saw how great Canelo was. We saw Triple G make a quote-unquote surprising appearance at the T-Mobile Arena to watch the fight from ringside, and then Max Kellerman sets it up, and here comes Golovkin, much like a WWE wrestler would have done. So they knew that was going to happen. I mean, they knew in the sense that Canelo, on his best day, would never lose to Chavez Jr. And I think De La Hoya knew that. I know De La Hoya knew that. I don't know that was a thing. That's I know. But I'd have to think that somewhere along the line he had a plan B just in case. Just in case Chavez put on the best performance of his career. Which under no circumstances did he do that. In fact, I don't even know if Chavez Jr. has a career anymore, to be perfectly honest with you. Because he looked so bad in that match. The only thing he did well was make 164. He didn't have to pay an extra $1 million because he didn't make weight. But he didn't do anything. And on the other side, did Canelo show anything new leading into a September bout against Triple G? That's something we have to wait and see. But suffice it to say, it was a great setup, and it was an infomercial. They could show that every night on late night TV. It may draw more money than the air fryer does on infomercials, but it was a brilliant infomercial. It really was. So that's where we were, and so I'm not upset about it. I don't feel cheated. But it was surprising in a way to see it developed that way, and actually was kind of fun. Perfectly honest with you, I didn't have a problem with it. So that's where we are in boxing, and hopefully our Beltway boxers will get involved and be a part of something like that down the road. We'll have to wait and see. So that'll do it here for another edition of Beltway Boxing News and Notes. And don't forget, Boxing on Beltway News and Notes brought to you by Real Time Pain Relief. Rub it on. The pain is gone in real time. Don't forget to go to www.freepainoffer.com. Buy $10 worth of Real Time Pain Relief and get a free $10 tube of Real Time Pain Relief. You can subscribe to the Boxing on Beltway Google app for Android pages on Spreaker.com and iHeartRadio.com if you are an iOS listener. We hope to get an iOS app somewhere down the road. Also, you can download this app, the Boxing on Beltway Google app for Android. And, of course, we have more than 200 hours worth of content. That means interviews, news and notes podcasts, live boxing. All you can hear right here on the Boxing on Beltway Google app for Android, or you subscribe to the pages on Spreaker.com and iHeartRadio.com. Don't forget, we're on the air 8:10 p.m. Eastern Time from Michael's 8th Avenue in Glen Burnie, Maryland, tomorrow night, Friday, May 12th. And don't forget to join us there for that one if you can't make it in person. So hope to talk to you then. Until then, thanks for listening, everybody. I'm Gary Digital Williams. Always remember to keep supporting the best boxing in the world, the boxing along the Beltway. Thanks for listening. Take care.